Oh boy, guys, Bush back at it with another video. CyberPunk 2077 dropped yesterday. A lot of people upset because, yes, the game is not running the best on some of the older hardware. If you want to run it ideal frame rate, you probably want a 2000 or 3000 series GPU. Thankfully, I've been able to play the game quite a bit. I have about 2.5 to 3 hours in the game. I'm really enjoying it. I'll give you guys more of my opinion as I play more of the game since I'm still relatively early on. I had to get to bed relatively early last night so I can jump into the game too much. But we're not going to talk about my opinion on the game. We want to go over some numbers, and CyberPunk 2077 is killing records on Steam. In the PC world in general, it's breaking records all across the board, so let's talk about some of them. The Steam concurrent player count, it just shattered. I believe it doubled the old record, or close to doubled it. It was over 1 million players last night, and right now it's at 930,000, which prior to yesterday would have still been the record, but it was north of 1 million players at once, which was crazy, given that when it hit 1 million players, there was a lot of people still unpacking the game and things like that. If you went on Twitter at 7 p.m. Eastern time, you could have seen a lot of people were really upset over needing to unpack the update, download the update, then unpacking it, and it took some time to get into the game. I don't think I got into the game until 30 minutes after the actual launch. A friend of mine got into it a little bit before me. He was on GOG, so I don't know if that made a little bit of a difference. I was on Steam. Nevertheless, also, that's a factor that we have to assess. It broke 1 million players on Steam, but you have to remember, there were a ton of people playing the game on GOG. I believe some e-tailers had the game for $50 for the GOG version. It might have even been a Newegg or Amazon. I remember that being a thing, so that's already crazy. Breaking north of 1 million. Cough, single-player games are dead, cough. No, that's just a joke. I know that's not really the rhetoric that's spewed around now. But that notion was definitely talked about 5 to 7 years ago. But also, of the 8 million pre-orders for CyberPunk 2077, PC led the charge with 4.72 million sales, and console was at 3.28 million. I'm sure consoles are going to sell a lot more physical copies, but I'm also sure that a lot of people are now picking up the game on PC as well. So I expect those numbers to rise for the rest of the day. This will be the biggest day one launch ever for a PC version of a game. It is beating the World of Warcraft, Shadowlands expansion? I'm not big into World of Warcraft, so I can't remember that. I believe that was at 3.8 million, and you have to remember, CyberPunk 2077 is a cross-platform title. I know if you have a PC, chances are you're buying it on PC, but the PlayStation 5 version of the game does brute force it to 60 FPS, so that's something to assess too. I'm sure if this was a PC exclusive, they wouldn't have gotten a ton more sales, but you're talking about WoW Shadowlands being a game everybody can play, and a game that doesn't require a hefty PC to play. Cyberpunk 2077, you have to have a relatively high-end rig, and it's still selling exceptional amounts of copies, so that's really cool to see, even after all the delays and things like that. And truth be told, I even talked about my hype for the game dying down a little bit, but I even said that come the week of the release of the game, my hype was going to soar back up. It was just multiple delays do get a little bit redundant after a while, but the game is doing really well. Cyberpunk 2077 already also exceeded $50 million in revenue on the Steam platform over 2 weeks ago, and the company collects 80% of royalties, so that's actually a pretty interesting split there, since some of us have heard 30% goes to the company. Obviously, if you're a company like CDPR, you're going to negotiate something a little bit better, and you could probably get a little bit better of a deal. Nevertheless, the game, to put it shortly, is doing incredibly well. Now, how this persists, we'll see. There are a lot of negative reviews on Steam, which I understand why people are a little bit upset, especially with the performance some people are having. You gotta make sure you download the drivers, and at the end of the day, the game is just difficult to run. I know some of you guys are trying to run it on a GTX 1050 Ti or a 1060, and yeah, the game is gonna be lagging on that standpoint. However, you also have to assess the fact that the game, at the end of the day, does run on the PS4. I've heard mixed things about the base PS4 version. I have not tried that. I don't think I want to try that. I had a console version of the game on pre-order, but I just canceled it. I was like, I'm gonna just play the entire game on PC. I might pick up a console version to test it on PS5, maybe when it goes on sale, maybe at some point. I'm sure one of my buddies are gonna pick it up on PS5, or the PS4 version, I should say, and play it on PS5, so I can just play it that way. But Yeah, so far it's doing incredibly well from a sales standpoint. Just to quickly give you guys my thoughts, I'm enjoying the game. Oh, I should also note before I get into my thoughts that there are settings being posted right now on social media. Check Twitter, check Reddit, check MySpace, whatever social media platform you use. People are posting their settings that is incredibly increasing the frame rate. I know one of my buddies got a list of settings, I think, off Reddit, and he's using it, and his performance went up crazy high, so I gotta test out some other settings. Right now, I was just maxing out the game. I actually just played the game a second ago, maxed out ray tracing, maxed out like everything, put it on quality on DLSS. And yeah, that brought even a 3080 to its knees. So we're gonna tinker around with it. Ideally, I want to play the game at, 80 to 100 frames per second. That's the ideal way I like to play games these days, and I'm sure I can still keep the game looking really, really sharp, especially on a 3080. I mean, it's 3080 at the end of the day. It should be able to run this game no problem. But so far, again, I just left it, low IQ mode, just max out everything, which you probably usually shouldn't do. You should tinker around a little bit if you do have the chance. But that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Let me know your initial thoughts on CyberPunk 2077. Are you enjoying the game? How is it running for you? What GPU are you running the game at? What is your overall rig? Or are you one of the few people that are just like, hey, this isn't a game I want to play right now? Maybe you're busy with a WoW Shadowlands and that's eating up all of your time. Maybe you're busy with XYZ game. Maybe you're busy with school wrapping up since you guys got finals and things of that nature. I can feel you on that. But that's going to wrap up this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.